Hi, Dr. Angela here with Garden Talk for Equal Ground Community Gardens in Brantford. This one's on rosemary. Rosemary is an evergreen and it's very aromatic. It gives you a very good experience. And what happens is when you actually pick it, or you don't have to pick it, you rub the leaves and you smell it after you rub them. And that will actually give you the best scent instead of just bringing your nose to the rosemary. It grows pretty well around here. It does need a lot of water. It's a thirsty plant from what I know about it. And rosemary, I would have to say, is my favorite herb. And that's saying a lot. I love herbs. I love lots and lots of herbs. But at the end of the day, rosemary is my favorite. In my first year of naturopathic college, that was the first herb I chose to do a paper on. And what I chose to do with it was not actually go into the scientific and the chemical constituents and those types of things. I actually chose to do the traditional properties and the traditional uses of rosemary and how it's been valued through the ages. What I learned was that rosemary is used maybe to help us be a bit more courageous, to give us strength and courage, maybe going into battle. How that might look in modern times is that we're going into stressful situations where we're feeling a little bit vulnerable or we're feeling like we're a little bit over our heads. Rosemary might be a good accompaniment to have in your pocket just to keep yourself grounded. Smell it, rub its leaves, smell it. And very interesting that it was the summer prior that I had kind of a cool relationship with a great big huge rosemary plant outside of my workplace. I was working in a kitchen. I was very young and feeling far underqualified for this position, and I most certainly was underqualified, but I was lucky enough to be able to be in that experience. There was a rosemary plant outside, and every day I would come in, smell it, leave, smell it. It seemed to just, I was drawn to it, and I wasn't really sure why because I wasn't necessarily into plants at that time. However, that particular position was a very male-dominated position. There was a lot of guys that were a little older than me. I was just past my teens at the time, and I was the only girl in this kitchen. And I just kept being drawn to this rosemary plant. So I thought it was very interesting that later on I learned how much rosemary helps us with our courage and with feeling that we need to be a little bit more robust, a little bit more, courageous in the things that we're doing. Now that's rosemary, and that's the interesting parts of it. It makes a great Christmas tree on your tabletop. It is great to flavor olive oil. You can throw it in the olive oil bottle and just leave it in there. The flavor will infuse into the olive oil. You can put it in soups, but I would suggest maybe grinding it in the coffee grinder if you don't want to have little chunks of things that you really don't want to swallow. It's not very palatable. It's kind of bitter if you bite into it. But when it's ground up, or if you take the leaves out afterwards in whatever you're making, then the rosemary actually adds quite a lot of personality to your meal. I hope you enjoy.